Good evening, Tony Dottino. It is now Monday, June the 27th, and the month of June is about poofed. And the sad part for me is once we get past June 21st, we start shortening daylight in the communities due to daylight savings and the change in getting into the summer. And so the official summer has started and the official countdown has reduced daylight, which I love. Daylight, we learn, is something bright and we should all get to. It helps enhance our brain and our life and thinking and what have you. But I wanted to cover a little bit. I'm going to do this week. I want to cover the session we had with a group of people that are called the Rising Six. They come out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. And boy, we got a chance to do a Facebook session with them on this past Saturday for an hour. I got to meet and talk with some really amazing men and women that are really serving our country and doing a lot. Want to make a difference. And one of the things that they want to make a difference is they realize that the faster we can think, retain, recall, utilize information, it gives us an edge in the world of global competition and global interactions and things of sort. And so they were most interested in what were some things that they could do that could improve their ability to respond, absorb information in, take that information and create and utilize it, and then be quick to make decisions and move things forward. And boy, if you can think of any group of people that serve us well, it's those groups of people. And so it's an organization that was interested in the memory competition and in memory training. So ultimately, we may want to do a teach the teachers of these wonderful, excited young men and women that would love to learn more about. So tell me more about memory. And so we talked about memory and we said, look, I got started in the world of memory where I was an executive at IBM, trying to find out how we could get our employees to be more creative. So I took them back to what was happening in the world in the late 80s and the global markets and how competition was expanding from not just competitors in the United States, but of course Japan, China was beginning to make some headroads and things, and countries were beginning to move forward. India was beginning to happen, and so how do we compete in that world? So what I was looking for is how do we get employees to be more creative, and that was the whole search that started me on what I do today and be the founder of the USA Memory Championship in 1997. But the story of the late 80s was moving into the 90s. We were going to have to learn how to be more creative and do it faster and quicker. And so the internet was exploding. IBM was obviously a major player in getting information out with our computer systems and applications, and then taking that information and figuring out how to best utilize it to create competitive advantages. And here we are in the middle of this, and we're trying to figure out how to even promote more of that creativity. And so I got to go to a seminar way back in 1989. So this is now 32 years ago, 33 years ago. And it was given by Tony Buzan, who became a dear colleague and friend and mentor of mine. And I co-authored and wrote two books with him. But the point of it was Tony was telling us in 1989 that by the end of the 90s, more than half of what we thought we knew about the human brain would be proven to be inaccurate, would not be proven to be wrong. For example, memory was a skill that we could learn to improve given the right desire, given the right learning and the right coach and teaching and taking the right methods, and then being willing to practice those methods. Wow, who would have thought back in 1990 that memory was a skill, and I call it a verb, meaning there's things you can do to improve it. And that was one of the points we made to the members of the Rising Six, is that, hey, you're not stuck with where you are in life, and that we've had, God, Michael Dottino has coached so many people in how to improve their memories that it's no longer something that's a doubt in terms of people he's worked with that have passed various exams or things that they have been interested in, policies of firemen, an Air Force sergeant, chief nursing officer, an air pilot student in university, a stroke patient. So we shared with them some of those stories, and basically through it, and then with the mental athletes, we can look at the mental athletes that have won the championship, and that not one of them came in there and was like, God, I got this big brain and I'm just going to wipe this thing out. What they all did was they learned the methods. They practiced those methods and techniques and got better and better and better at them, which is the whole point of the memory competition. There are skills you can learn, and you can get better and better and better in the application of those and the utilization of them in your life if you chose and you had the urgency and the desire and passion to want to do so. So that was the key of what we were sharing with them. And then we basically talked about the trend. So this was a trend I was seeing in the early 90s, is information was going to come at us faster than we had ever had it come at us before. The global exchange, we were no longer looking at countries in isolation. We were looking at the expansion of trade and economies that were going to cross country boundaries. So we were getting outside of boundaries, and we were going to explore and expand the cooperation of countries working together. And the example, just look at what India has been able to do in the technology world over the last 30 years. Look at what China is doing. We even can throw Russia into that to some degree. And there are a lot of European countries that have just advanced the state of what they do in places and countries that we wouldn't even think were possible 30, 40 years ago. So the global expansion of information was going to take place in the next 10 years, and therefore, how do we absorb that information and then figure out how to utilize it and create solutions to problems and issues that people were important on? We're working climate change right now, and look at the issues that come around with climate change. Excuse me. Look at the study and the research and the satellites that they shoot from the Cape here in Florida that are going out into orbits to understand more and more about climate patterns and things of that sort. So that information explosion really demands that our comprehension of information, our ability to utilize that information, becomes better and better and better. And whether we like it or not, we're going to get crawled, kicking, screaming, or just open arms and jumping into the pool and basically saying that we have to learn some skills on how do we take all of the networks and the internets and the Googles and the YouTubes and videos and information that is coming at us and do something with it. So the myth that I started to work with then is that, well, our brains are not limited. The mental capacity to enhance our memories are not limited. And therefore, if we believe that it's that simple thing, if you believe you can, you will. If you believe you can't, you won't. This sounds so overdone. It's such an overused cliche. But yet, when you look at this in terms of the mental athletes that have competed in the memory championship, it's there all the time for everybody to see. You can do this at any age, so there's no limit to it, and there's no age limit, okay? And so the myths that we talk about here is you're never too old, and there's no limits to what you're able to do in terms of improving this at any age. And of course, with the information overload, there's really very little choice that you have. So fortunately, we've started the USA Memory Championship in 1997, and we're about ready to start July 30th with qualifying rounds for the 23rd USA Memory Championship, which we'll be doing online, virtual. You'll be able to come in and see it live streaming. We'll have that information at the USA Memory Championship website. And we'll take 12 people that compete on that day, and they'll be invited to come to Winter Park, Florida, at Full Sail University and compete in their studio to see who's got the best memory in the United States. And that should be an exciting, fun day. We're beginning to lay out the agenda for that day and put our plans together. And that's the things that we talked about to the Rising Six as one segment on what we talked about this Saturday. Well, there were several other segments, and I plan to do those on my Facebook Lives on Wednesday of this week and on Friday. So by the end of the week, you'll have the great conversation we had with the Rising Six this past Saturday, which was really terrific. Have a good week, and we'll see you on Wednesday.